All right, this is the panel saw. This is what we use primarily for cutting big sheets of plywood. You can see I've already loaded a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of plywood on here. That's a pretty standard size piece of plywood. So what we're gonna do is our first piece for our small cabinet is 11.5 by 24. Now whenever we cut wood for a project, we like the wood in our project, like a bookshelf or a cabinet like this, we want the grain to be running up and down. It just looks a lot cleaner. And you'll notice that all the furniture in your house, the grain usually runs up and down, except for some trim pieces maybe. So remember, really think about how you're cutting this wood. Okay? Now, my piece is a little over 4 foot. Okay? So what I need to do is I measure out my distance that I'm going to cross cut this at. Again, I want it to go up and down. You got to think about this because a lot of people will make the wrong cut here and they'll only measure it out to 11.5, and that's the wrong size. Then your grain's going the wrong way. You messed up, okay? And you're wasting a lot of material. Okay, that's like $10, maybe not $10, but close to it, of material that, yeah, probably close to $10 of material that you've wasted if you make a wrong cut. And now we're gonna be short on the other end too, okay? So think about this. So I'm gonna set this up for 24 inches. Now I have a ruler on my machine, but I like to put a little mark here just so I can double check. Okay, so on the panel saw here is a 24-inch mark, and it's actually really accurate. Right, so there is 24 inches. I'm gonna see if it lines up here. And I kind of have to look through a little groove here. There's a little hole that I'll show you. Okay, so I look through this hole and make sure that my line is right where it needs to be, and it is. So this saw is really easy to use. All you have to do is pull down and go straight down. This is a fine-tooth blade, so it's pretty good at making cross cuts. Just go nice and slow. Make sure that you push it back up, and then you can lock it down. If this saw is ever stuck up here and you can't pull it down, or it seems like there's a lot of resistance, you just need to loosen up this knob, and now it'll slide. Okay. So now I have my 24-inch piece. I could take it over to the table saw now that it's smaller, and I could set my table saw up for 11.5. I'm just gonna do my 11.5s right here. But if there was a line here or something, you could take it over to the table saw. So I also have a ruler on this side as well. 11.5. You'll need 2 of these. 11.5. The safety rules for this saw are the same as all the other ones. Only one person in the yellow box. Hands 6 inches from the blade, so your hands will never go under here. And then also safety glasses. So now I have my 2 side pieces. The next step is to put the dados and the rabbets in here. Another thing the panel saw can do, this piece would be enough for another person. So you could give this piece to a friend or just somebody in the class who hasn't cut theirs yet. Another thing the panel saw could do if I wanted it to is I could rip all along this piece. If you pull out these two pins here, you can shift your saw. Okay. I could set it up to wherever I need to. Maybe I need like a really long piece that's a foot long. I can lock it into place. Okay. There's a lock button, so I can pull the trigger. I can push it all the way. It usually helps if you have a friend, because especially with these long pieces, it helps if you have a friend on the back end. Again, just like the catcher of a table saw, supporting this as it comes out. Okay. The panel saw, other than that, is pretty easy to use. Make sure you lock it back into place. And always make sure you lock it in the up position. Okay, it is on a little pulley that helps you slide it up and down.